a sprinkler that goes haywire. Then you notice the valve has gone haywire. And then the valve next to it goes haywire after you fix the valve. That's pretty much what ours was like. Took Amy King to dinner for her birthday. Yes, KFI's Amy King. Her birthday's in a couple weeks. We were just, it worked out. We could go this weekend. And had a lovely dinner at Celestino's in Pasadena. Never been there before. But if you like gnocchi, like I like gnocchi, oh my goodness. It was filled with mushrooms in like a fondue cheese sauce. Stop it. Get me salivating at 5:02 in the morning. Anyway, the place was great. Here's what's up on your wake-up call. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says the next few weeks will be tough as COVID-19 infections driven by the Omicron variant continue to surge. I'll get you some numbers from Southern California in just a few minutes. Also, we do know 2 British teens are in custody as part of an investigation into that standoff in Texas. We'll talk all about it with ABC's Karen Travers. Before we get into the investigation portion of it later in the hour, I want to get into what the president is saying specifically. I know that he's called the hostage situation at the synagogue in Texas an act of terror and says the U.S. won't tolerate situations like these, but he also wants to make sure that the blame isn't incorrectly placed on his administration for what happens. So, of course, there's always kind of got to be a, political side to things, and we'll talk about that with Karen in just a few minutes. But let's start with some of these stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy says the next few weeks will be tough. Those were his words. As COVID-19 infections driven by the Omicron variant continue to surge. He tells ABC's This Week that testing and mask wearing are important, but not enough.
It's also about ensuring that we get more people vaccinated and boosted. It's one of the lessons of Omicron, that the vaccines are working to keep people safe, to keep them out of the hospital, to save their lives. We just need to get millions of more people boosted.
Dr. Murthy says the Biden administration is working on getting new COVID tests and distributing free N95 masks for Americans. LA County health officials say the number of people with COVID-19 in county hospitals is more than 4,500. The number of ICU patients with COVID has increased by 20 people to 622. The county reported another 53 deaths from COVID. This news comes a day after officials reported 66 COVID deaths. That was the daily highest total since April of last year. Also, I just got a news alert from CNN that says China says the Winter Olympics tickets will not be sold in response to COVID-19. Instead, they will be distributed by authorities. So I'm not sure what that means, but I guess they get to pick and choose who is safe enough, I guess, to come into the venue. So anyway, that news just came out. 2 British teens are in custody as part of the investigation into a standoff in Texas. Sky News reports they were arrested by Greater Manchester Police yesterday for questioning. No information on how they're connected to the hostage-taking near Dallas Saturday. The arrests come after U.S. authorities identified the hostage-taker as a 44-year-old from Great Britain. His name is Malik Faisal Akram. The investigation is now international, and that's between the U.S., Great Britain, and Israel. Now, today, on this MLK Day, I want to tell you there are several free vaccinations and rapid testing events that are going on. 9 o'clock, you've got the Congress of Racial Equity Kingdom Day Parade Committee that will sponsor a free in-car COVID-19 rapid test in lieu of hosting an annual parade. So that's one way to honor it. You've also got at 9 o'clock, the First AME Church of LA will host free vaccinations. 10:30, LAUSD, there's a second grader, Isabella Blue, and she and the Unite LA Foundation will offer walk-up COVID-19 vaccines and testings. And at 11, community organized relief efforts and the Sutro Avenue Southeast Leimert Park Club Leimert Park will host a COVID-19 vaccination and testing pop-up. This one will be on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Crenshaw Plaza at Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk with ABC's Karen Travers all about the president's response to the synagogue hostage situation in Texas over the weekend. But right now, let's go ahead and say good morning to Nick Pagliocchini. Happy Monday to you, Nick.
Good morning, Jen. I love the pictures of you and Amy King and Scott going out to dinner.
We had so much fun, and it's so much fun when you get to dress up and do something fancy in the honor of Amy King.
I know, I was going to say, but look at that. Like, amazing times for you guys in Pasadena. So.
It was great. Thank you.
Absolutely. Checking out the drive right now, Jen, on the eastbound side of the 105. Get down the Linwood as you make your way past the 710. Kind of recognize the carpool and 3 left lanes stretch down. Right now, eastbound 105 is going to be a rough ride for you from before the 710. Delays will continue for you to, looks like, let's say, about Paramount Boulevard. Loosens up as you get closer to Lakewood Boulevard. Got an update on this problem or anything else slowing you down? Pound 250 on the cell phone. Keyword is KFI traffic. Again, the roads are wet, and definitely, especially along the coastal drive for you, the 405 southbound, definitely seeing a bit of slowing here and there due to the wet roadway. So give yourself a little extra time getting out the door this morning and checking your drive elsewhere for the holiday. So far, so good. Nothing too crazy to write home about. KFI, this guy helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
5:06 on your wake-up call. Karen Travers, good morning to you. So I'm going to get into the investigation portion of what went down in Texas a little bit later this hour. But I think it's important to focus on what the president's response was to this, what he's calling an act of terror in Texas this weekend.
Yeah, he gave some brief remarks to reporters yesterday, and he said it was an act of terror. He praised the FBI and local law enforcement for safely putting an end to the standoff for the hostages. He had said yesterday that he had spoken with the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and Garland told him that there was overwhelming cooperation between the local authorities there in Texas and the FBI. As the president put it, they did one hell of a job. The president also said he told the Attorney General to make sure the administration gets the word out to synagogues and other places of worship that the Biden administration will not tolerate this. The president said that we have the capacity to deal with the assaults, in particular anti-Semitic assaults, but he said that people should be assured the administration is focused on this and is ready to respond. So pretty extensive comments from the president on Sunday about this incident over the weekend.
I know he tried to get a hold of the rabbi from the synagogue, and I heard a quote this morning that said, "We just keep missing each other," or something like that.
Yeah.
And but it was, I'm sure that that synagogue needed that kind of reach out from the administration, and that probably gave them a lot of insurance that something would be done and that this wouldn't be tolerated.
Absolutely. And, no indication that they did connect. I'm sure it was a pretty busy Sunday for the rabbi and others in the congregation there. But the president said that they had missed each other, but will be speaking at some point. But certainly that show of support, the message from the president yesterday hopefully goes a long way. The other thing the president focused on was the suspect. The president said that there were still facts that were coming in, and didn't want to get ahead of the investigation, but said that the assertion was that this man got the weapons on the street, and that while he said he had bombs, there was no indication of that, but that he had spent his first night since coming here to the United States in a homeless shelter. The president went on to say, that background checks are critical, but that the number of guns that are sold on the street, which might be the situation we're talking about here, the president said it's just ridiculous. He kind of put some blame on Washington for not moving forward on the issue of background checks. And, this is something you and I have talked about a lot since he's taken office. They came in saying that legislation on background checks, guns, things like that were going to be a priority. We've seen several high-profile shootings over the past year, and afterwards the questions have been very extensive to the administration. What will be done now? What can be done now? And the administration, from Jen Psaki to other senior officials, have acknowledged the limitations on what they can do if Congress isn't acting. So, to hear the president say yesterday that background checks are critical, but you can't stop something like that if it is indeed that guns are being passed around on the street, there's only so much that Washington could potentially do.
All right, Karen, thank you for that, and we'll get into the investigation portion of it coming up at 5:35. Have a great day.
You too, thanks.
Thanks. See you later. ABC's Karen Travers. And it's, that's a fine line you walk when you are running for president. And when you say, I'm going to get guns off the streets and we're going to have gun reform and whatever. That's all well and good and well-intentioned. I don't doubt that for half a second. But you have Congress. And if Congress doesn't go along with what you're thinking, nothing gets done. And with this Congress, I don't care what it is. I don't care if we are debating, hey, is the sky blue? Blue? Are you kidding? You know what I mean. They can't agree on anything. So it's hard to make these promises. But you have to know that if you make these promises and you say that this is what you're gonna do and this is what you're gonna focus on, it's also gonna give your opposition a whole lot of room to criticize you. So, I know it comes with the territory. Let's get back to some of the stories coming out of the KFI 24-hour newsroom. The first round is underway at the Australian Open. The Grand Slam event began without Novak Djokovic. This fan says it's just time to move on.
I'm relieved. That should have been organised before he came to Australia. So I'm glad it's all over.
The defending tennis champ left Australia yesterday after a judicial review ruled that he violated the country's COVID-19 vaccination requirements. I saw a statement from Djokovic last night that said something like, paraphrasing here, but it was like, I'm disappointed, but I respect the court's ruling, something like that. A nurse has died after a man attacked her at Union Station in Los Angeles. Remember this story from last week? Well, she died yesterday. Police say a man punched the 7-year-old woman in the head and knocked her to the ground. Officers found the man sleeping nearby a short time after he punched the woman and arrested him. He's being held on $2 million bail. A woman's been killed by a hit-and-run driver in Stanton.
The driver is wanted for allegedly hitting and killing a woman, then taking off. The Orange County Sheriff's Department says the person is believed to be driving a 2007 to 2009 Toyota Camry. It says it's unsure what the color of the car was. Investigators are asking anybody with information on yesterday morning's hit-and-run to call them. Blake Trolley, KFI News.
Well, the Costa Mesa Police Department has started a bait program. What it's trying to do is catch people who steal catalytic converters from cars. Police say there were 381 catalytic converters stolen in 2021. That's compared to 115 in 2020. That's a big jump. They say they have placed undercover cops to watch over parked bait cars throughout the city. Well, this was a wild story over the weekend. Tsunami warnings have been canceled along the West Coast and all across the Pacific Rim after a volcano erupted close to the Pacific island nation of Tonga and triggered high waves. ABC's Ronan Alley says the Australian and New Zealand governments have sent surveillance flights to assess the damage.
Authorities had to rescue several beachgoers in northern and southern California. Many residents had to scramble.
The water just came in, took the dock out.
And in South America, 2 people were killed in unusually high waves in Peru.
In Ventura, the strong tsunami swells ripped through a harbor and took several boats with it. I don't know if you've seen the picture of the actual underwater volcano. It's the craziest thing I've seen. It was fascinating. Police in Abu Dhabi say a possible drone attack may have killed 3 people and wounded 6. The attacks may have set off an explosion that struck 3 oil tankers and another fire at an extension of Abu Dhabi Airport. Yemen's rebels have claimed responsibility for an attack targeting the United Arab Emirates, but have not said where it was. The body of a commercial diver has been found off the coast of Huntington Beach. The diver was reported missing near an oil platform on Sunday. Coast Guard and other agencies searched for the missing man. His body was found about 10. And Scream has pulled Spider-Man No Way Home down from the top box at the box office this weekend. The 5th installment of the Scream franchise brought Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell from the original movie, although it didn't break any records. Still a very strong showing for what might be an indicator of more box office success with this year's big slate of potential blockbusters coming up. And Betty White's 100th birthday would have been today. Oh, it's inspired animal rescue organizations to ask for support.
The Betty White Challenge started on social media following White's death last month. It encourages people to donate $5 today to animal rescue organizations in Betty White's name.
And what's great about this, that's ABC's Jason Nathanson, any organization you want, donate $5 today. I love this. Because Betty was, I read something from her publicist that she was an advocate for animals, not an activist. Because there are a lot of people who say, oh, but she loved meat and she loved, that kind of thing. Right, yeah, she did. All she wanted you to do was rescue the animals. She was huge in that. And that knowing that at the LA Zoo they were properly taken care of and that sort of thing. Animal advocate is a beautiful way to describe her. Now, Pink's Hot Dogs, by the way, is paying tribute to Betty White by donating a week's worth of proceeds from the sale of its Betty White Naked Dogs to the LA Zoo, the two things she loved. All right, when we come back, I am so excited about this story. There's an artist in LA who was putting together a tribute for Betty White, and then Betty White passed away. So she quickly had to change this tribute, but also she changed it in a way that makes us all think about who we are, who Betty White was, and what we can do in her honor. So we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. We're going to the 105.
Yeah, it's problems for you that are continuing as you're making your way out of Linwood into the Paramount area on the eastbound side of the 105. It was all lanes shut down for a time, and now it's the carpool and two left lanes taken away. So you are able to get through on the two right lanes heading eastbound on the 105, and that's why your delays are only really from the 710 heading eastbound 105. 91 East as an alternate to the 105 East. That's problem accident and debris free and looking good for your drive this morning. From the 710 as you make your way toward the 605. Got an update of something slowing you down. Pound 250 on your cell phone. Keyword KFI traffic. KFI in the sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Unjunk your sleep at Mattress Firm's new bed, new you sale. And start the year off right. Shop select mattresses from top brands starting at $159.99. Plus, you'll even get immediate delivery. Don't miss out.
It's Colin Coward. Here's what's trending from iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz.
LeBron James apologized to Lakers fans. James promised to be better after LA suffered their worst loss of the season. It's winner go home for Aaron Donald and the Rams. Super Wild Card Weekend wraps up tonight with LA hosting the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. And the Chiefs routed the Steelers in what was likely Ben Roethlisberger's final game. The Steelers quarterback hinted at retirement, saying he's looking forward to the next chapter. I'm Misty Jordan.
Intelligence runs in the family. Innovation runs in the family. Extraordinary runs in the family. The 2021 Mercedes-Benz range of SUVs, every member is waiting to impress. Learn more at MBUSA.com.
I was in a home improvement store over the weekend, and I heard somebody say, hey, can you direct me to the salt for the water softeners? And I thought, oh, those poor people are lugging salt around again. What if I told them they could turn on any faucet in their home and have great filtered, great tasting water flowing from every single tap? They could if they had a LifeSource whole house water system. It connects directly to the plumbing, and these systems filter out harsh chemicals and reduce hard water problems. You can eliminate the cost and hassle of buying bottled water, and you're going to taste the difference when you drink and cook and clean in refreshing water, and your skin and your hair, they're going to feel the difference when you shower without water-drying chemicals like chlorine. And the best part, there's no maintenance of any kind, no filters to change, no salt to add, people, and simply install it and enjoy it. Quality water for over 10 years. Right now, LifeSource is offering a free water consultation and free installation. So call to speak with their professional service team. There's no middleman with LifeSource water. You get factory direct service and installation and expertise. Call LifeSource today at 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009, or visit LifeSourceWater.com. LifeSource Water, taste and feel the difference.
The MLK Tapes is your next true crime podcast obsession. On April 4th, 1968, a lone gunman assassinated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in Memphis, Tennessee. At least, that's the official story. The MLK Tapes podcast explores recordings of eyewitness testimonies to reveal the real story of the plot to kill Dr. King.
James Hill Ray was a pawn for the official story.
Listen to the MLK Tapes wherever you get your podcasts.
That dinner was delicious. What's next?
I'm thinking just a check.
Do you frequently have gas, bloating, diarrhea, stomach pain, or loose oily stools after eating? One or more of these symptoms could be a sign of exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, and it may be time to talk to your doctor.
If you have EPI, Creon may be right for you. Creon, pancrelipase, is an oral prescription medication that treats EPI. Creon replaces enzymes you may be missing to help you break down food properly.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Do not chew capsules or contents as this may cause mouth irritation. Tell your doctor if you have unusual or severe stomach pain, bloating, trouble passing stool, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, worsening of painful swollen joints, or allergic reactions. Other side effects may include changes in blood sugars, gas, dizziness, or sore throat and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon.
Talk to your doctor about Creon, the #1 prescribed EPI treatment, and visit gocreon.com. That's GOCREON.com, or call 1-800-633-9110.
Better get some more cake from Pink Coffee. You know it's National Chocolate Cake Day next week, and I'm just practicing. And now, the top 5 reasons to visit Morongo. Number 5.
Snowball Toss Friday. You can win $1,500 cash playing your favorite slots with your rewards card. 1 to 9 p.m.
Number 4.
Genuine Live February 4th. Get your tickets today.
3.
Cozy Gift Giveaway. Get an iPad Queen Comforter set when you earn 500 points on the rewards card. The 24th and 25th.
And the number 2.
$500 drawing. You can win $500 cash playing table games with your rewards card. Wednesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And the number 1 reason.
Big Game Blitz. Food, drinks, giveaways, and the big game on big screen in our ballroom for a small price. Get tickets now.
Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Morongo. Good times!
I'm Steven Rennell, the host of the Meat Eater podcast and the Netflix original series Meat Eater. As a hunter and wildlife enthusiast, the question comes up, how can you justify killing and eating animals that you love and protect? Well, that's part of what we wrangle with on the Meat Eater podcast, along with broader and often funnier discussions about living an outdoor life in the modern world. We insist on sharing challenging opinions to inspire thought and action. Listen to the Meat Eater podcast on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Live and local.
KFI AM 640.
An iHeart radio station.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road, back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
And she was to so many of us, she just didn't know it. Betty White would have turned 100 today, and we're going to talk about a special mural in her honor that a local artist has done. That is, it's just, I love it because there's not only does it honor Betty White's side of it, but it gives you the opportunity to do something Betty White would have loved for you to do. So that's coming up in just a second. This is your wake-up call for a Monday. Thanks for joining me. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, and some of the stories we're watching in the KFI 24-hour newsroom. LA County's reported the highest number of COVID deaths in a single day since last April. The Department of Health says there were 66 deaths and 41,765 new COVID cases. There are almost 4,300 people currently in the hospital with COVID in LA County. In California, the number of people in the hospital with COVID has more than doubled in the last 2 weeks. And one of the last surviving Tuskegee Airmen, Charles McGee, who flew fighter combat missions over 3 wars, has died. Vice President Kamala Harris and the Secretary of Defense said McGee died yesterday at 102 years old. The Tuskegee Airmen were the first African-American unit to fly combat planes in World War II. All right now let's say good morning to Corey Maddie, who, Corey, I'll let you tell the story, but I think you started out with the idea, let's honor Betty White for her 100th birthday, which would have been today. And then we all got the just sad news that Betty White passed away just weeks before her 100th birthday. And so I guess you had to kind of switch up your plan a little bit.
Yeah, I did actually. But it actually made it a little more special because I provided the QR code for a local dog rescue so people could actually honor her with the Betty White Challenge and actually go up to the wall and donate and give back to, the local LA shelter. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, you literally gave me goosebumps with that. When I saw this story, I went, this girl is a girl after my own heart. But there's something about Betty White, and I don't know if it was the smile, I don't know if it was the sassiness, a combination of the two. You couldn't help but love her. She was so funny. She was so personable. And my thing is she loved animals. So right there, I wanted her to adopt me at some point.
Literally, I feel like she was the grandma I always had.
Yes, 100%. Tell me about the mural, though, before we get into the QR code.
Yeah, originally I wanted to do something for her 100th, like you said, and then a couple days later she passed, which her timing of her death was also a perfect comedic exit. Everyone was toasting to her on the 31st, so well played. And then immediately I found a wall within a day, and then I knew I needed to get it up before her 100th, and I did it last week. It took me about 15 hours, and then I had the idea of the QR code, so that's kind of where it all came together.
It is a beautiful mural. Tell everybody what it looks like.
Okay, so it's yellow. It's very bright. With doves around it, and it's Betty White in black and white. That's my style. You use two tones, so black, white, and then yellow. And it's pretty basic. Underneath it's pretty be more like Betty, which is something that I think we all need to strive to be like model human. And there's so many things that I could say about her. And I think that's really it. And then the QR code.
Now, okay, go into the QR code. Where did you come up with that idea, and how can people do it and use it? Because we were talking earlier about this Betty White Day, and that people are being asked to just donate $5 to a rescue of some sort for animals.
Yeah, exactly. So I came up with the idea because my street art name is LA Hope Dealer, and a lot of my pieces provide access to activism. So I figured, well, what's the best way to interact with one of these murals is, her being a prominent animal welfare advocate. Let's do the dog rescue. So you can go up to the wall, and it goes directly to Wagmore Pets Venmo, so it makes it super easy to give back to the community. And then we I obviously did it further, and I'm releasing prints and shirts today that 100% of the profits will go to Wagmore Pets with the mural on the shirt. And then there's the QR code actually printed on the shirt, so anyone wearing the shirt could actually have people around them donate to Wagmore Pets as well.
Can you get these at lahopedealer.com?
Yes, they will be on there in a few hours. Most of my team's not up yet.
Okay, I don't blame them. I get it. Okay, I am definitely going to get one of those shirts because I love being a walking QR code to help animals. What was it, Corey, specifically that made you want to paint a mural for Betty White? I mean, when you were just planning on painting one for her 100th birthday, what is it about her?
Well, there's a few things. I mean, she was a trailblazer for women not even just in the entertainment industry, but she just showed that in the face of, adversity in a male-dominated industry that you can succeed. Animal welfare advocate. She opposed racial injustice in the 50s with Arthur Duncan, the local tap dancer that, people were giving her trouble for airing an African-American man on her show, and she said too bad, deal with it, and aired him more, actually, which I love her. That's stubborn, and I love that. She's a huge supporter of the LGBTQ community, and I honestly, when she really captured my heart was Golden Girls. All through college, I've had I had all DVDs, so I had seasons 1 through 7 of Golden Girls, and I would fall asleep listening to them talk. So it was like that's where she captured my heart as Rose Nyland.
I think you and I are separated at birth because I can't tell you how many times I fell asleep to the Golden Girls, and my husband, when he would send me things or whatever, when we were kind of dating long distance, he would send me the DVDs of the seasons of the Golden Girls. I swear, you and I, we need to meet for sure and just sit down, have popcorn, and watch the Golden Girls. But tell me a little bit about you, Corey, because you didn't start out as a muralist or an artist. You had a completely different world on a completely different coast.
So I came out here in 2015, but originally I went to, I was in sports management, so I went to, the University of Maryland for kinesiology and then Georgetown for sports management, and then I was working in sports, and then I just found myself coming home and drawing for like hours on end, and then I was like, you know what, let me just try my hand in my passion, and I packed my car and moved out west in 2015, and the rest is history. And then I really became a street artist by accident during the pandemic, where I knew all my projects kind of flatlined and everyone had to lock down, and I was like, well, the only thing that's going to keep me sane is actually paint. So I found a wall, and then I did. Yeah, on Tuesday, I started it. I finished it on Wednesday. It said Cancel Plans, Not Humanity, with my LA Hope Dealer character, which is basically me with a coat that has the hope inscribed in the inside. And then on Thursday, it was in LA Times. So I knew I was onto something. And then that's when I went 0 to 100 and kind of spearheaded painting on the wooded, the boarded up shops. And I gained a lot of traction that way. And then also with all the civil unrest, I kind of used art and activism. And that's where LA Hope Dealer was really born. So it's a way to provide, access to activism, showing that kindness is cool. Basically what Betty White stood for in art. That's basically what LA Hope Dealer is. So that's why we just had to pay homage to her in the way that we did.
Well, you keep her legacy going. Please paint more because your murals are gorgeous. And I just love what you've done for Betty White and for animals and everything. I mean, it's just such a beautiful tribute. So, Corey, thank you so much for putting your talent into this tribute.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And lahopedealer.com later this morning is where you can go to get one of the shirts or prints that she has with the mural on it and the QR code so that you two can connect and give that $5 today. Corey, Maddie, thank you so much. lahopedealer.com. I hope to talk to you again.
Yeah, you will. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Corey. All right, I love that. And again, today being... See, there's something about today. It's MLK Day, and it would have been Betty White's 100th birthday. Doesn't that all scream activism and taking action and fighting for what you love and passion and giving back? There's something very beautiful happening today. Anyway, I love what Corey did, and I feel she definitely needed to be highlighted. I'll give you a great story about some bar patrons in Wisconsin who were 100% convinced someday Betty White was going to come there, and what they did and what they are doing now in her honor today. It's a pretty cool story. And when we come back, we'll talk with ABC's Jim Ryan. So you've got counterterrorism experts and counterterrorism experts in Britain all working with the FBI, as Karen Travers mentioned earlier in the hour, trying to learn more about the man who held these hostages at the synagogue in Texas over the weekend. So I want to know more about this guy's identity, who he is, who he's connected to, and is this part of a bigger movement? All that's coming up with Karen in just a few minutes. Let's take a look at that drive now on the 105 again.
As you're making it to the Paramount area on the eastbound side before Paramount Boulevard, still got the carpool and 2 left lanes shut down. That's going to be busy for you. As you come away from the 710, actually going to see delays for you continuing toward, almost down the avenue, but definitely seeing a bit of a rough ride for you there. With the holiday, it's really the only area slowing at the moment. 91 eastbound as an alternate to the 105 east. Looks good for you coming away from the 710 heading toward the 605. If you're encountering something slowing down your drive, pound 250 on the cell phone, keyword KFI traffic. Looks like there's a speediness slowing. Not sure what's going on. Maybe something affecting the 134 east transition to the 2 north, but it looks like it's a little bit slow going for you eastbound 134 approaching the 2, and then definitely seeing a few delays on the 2 northbound as you come away from the 134. KFI in the Sky helps get to there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
This is hard to admit, but when I was in junior high school, I was bullied so badly, I cried. Hello, I'm John Aquan, owner of Rooter Hero Plumbing. I was named Oganis after my grandfather, but as a kid I was teased for having that name, so I changed it to John. John is the English version of Oganis, and it maintains the honor to my grandfather. My family and heritage are important to me, so staying true to myself and Rooter Hero Plumbing are important. Staying true to Rooter Hero Plumbing means being true to you and delivering world-class service. That's why my cell phone number is on the back of every Rooter Hero Plumbing business card. Call us at 866-DRAIN-77 and we'll cable your line for $77. That's 866-DRAIN-77. Thank you.
Everybody needs a hero.
CL 102-8886.
Your SoCal weather from KFI. We've got a mostly cloudy day ahead and even a chance of scattered showers. And this is kind of for everybody through the day. Highs today will just be in the mid-60s. We drop into the 50s overnight and then more clouds tomorrow. We lead local, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee.
If you own a business and manage to keep 5 or more people on the payroll through the pandemic, there's a new government program that will pay you tens of thousands of dollars per employee. And this is not a loan. This is a grant. The challenge is getting your hands on this money. This is a bureaucracy. InnovationRefunds.com cuts through the red tape, helps you get the cash. They do all of the legwork. They don't charge a penny until you receive the money. And what they do is simply share a percentage of the money they get for you. They got my business a six-figure refund. Now, their average client gets $250,000. That's impressive. Go to innovationrefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me button, answer a few questions. Innovationrefunds.com. It's no risk, and it certainly is high reward. Innovationrefunds.com. They help me. I'm sure they can help you. InnovationRefunds.com.
Los Angeles Unified Adult Education offers free classes in career training, high school diploma, and English as a second language. Visit launifiedadult.org or call 213-241-3150.
Regrow your own natural hair with the same simple one-day treatment that I received from Advanced Hair Restoration. Get a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts by calling 844-333-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Accident, injury, call Jacob and Ronnie. Call Jacob.
KFI AM 640.
An iHeart radio station.
24-hour news. More stimulating talk.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out.
KFI AM 640 live everywhere on the iHeart Radio app. I want to scurry and get right to ABC's Jim Ryan. Hey, Jim, good morning. So we've got counterterrorism experts, Britain, working with the FBI, trying to learn more about the man who held hostages at the synagogue in Texas. What is his ID now?
Well, yeah, he has been identified. He was identified late Saturday. Malik Faisal is his name. He was shot and killed. We know that two other people were taken into custody back in his homeland in Great Britain. They apparently were his two teenage sons. They were being questioned about what they knew about what was going on with their 44-year-old father on Saturday. The ordeal at the synagogue lasted for about 11 hours. When it was all over, the hostages all were safe. They apparently escaped on their own. And Malik Faisal Akram was shot and killed either by the SWAT team officers or he shot and killed himself. We don't know quite which one yet.
And he'd only been here for a couple of weeks, right?
Well, he got here at the end of December, so sure, it was a few weeks that he'd been here. He flew into JFK from the UK, made his way somehow to Texas. The only indication that he would have come here is that this Pakistani terrorist who's serving an 86-year prison sentence is being held at the medical unit, the women's medical prison unit at Carswell Air Force Base in Fort Worth. Her name is Afia Siddiqui, and she has become something of a celebrity in these extremist circles, and so it would be surprising that he may have heard something online and was demanding her release. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen, though.
So he gets here a few weeks ago. He buys a gun, I'm assuming, off the street?
That's what the president has said, that the gun was bought on the street somewhere.
Okay, and then he goes to Texas. He holds these people hostage. He lets them go. And then what about these two teens that were arrested? How do they connect to Faisal?
They're his sons.
They are, okay.
Yeah, his two teenage sons. Now, it's not, there's no clear indication that he had help from anyone or in either planning this or carrying it out. I think the counterterrorism people in Britain were questioning these two simply to find out what they knew. By the way, the hostages weren't freed. The first hostage, the first of the four, was let go several hours before it all ended. The final three, including the rabbi, managed to escape. One of them threw a chair at Akram, and they all ran out the back door. He was right behind them, and then dipped back inside, and that's when the SWAT team moved in.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate your time.
Thanks, Jim.
All right. See you later. ABC's Jim Ryan. That's incredible. That they were able to throw a chair at the guy and get away. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that movies are made of, for sure. Well, as we get more information, though, and obviously we will, there are going to be so many questions now. Like Jim said, did he read about something online that prompted him then to come to Texas, try and, show his anger for the fact that the U.S. had this doctor that we were holding, and so he wanted to come and lay into it, lay into us for it? Is he part of something bigger? What do his sons know? Are they going to clam up? Or are we hopefully going to have a couple of songbirds that can tell us more about their dad, what his mindset was? You don't know. Could they be involved in something? Is this a much bigger balloon than we know? Possibly. All right, I know I told you that I would give you more on this story, and it's these bar patrons in Mineral Point, Wisconsin. And for years, they have been buying beers for Betty White. And there's this local pub that tallies them on the chalkboard, and the whole hope is that one day she might stop by and drink them. All these beers that were bought for her, although I love that the story points out, not all in one sitting. Sadly, Betty White never made it to Commerce Street Brewing for a pint. And even though she will not be able to enjoy her designated drinks, obviously, at the pub, fans are hoping, though, that they can still do something in her honor. So what they want to do is, with all the proceeds of the beers that are bought for Betty White in her honor going forward, every time they buy a beer in honor of Betty White, the money goes toward an animal charity that was close to her heart. How great is this? So they refer to her as Middle Point's favorite golden girl. She really is. I wasn't here on the day that Betty White passed. I was on vacation, so I never really got to, do a little tribute or anything to her. So, I know, this is one of those stories where Handel goes, you shouldn't tell that on the air. Well, I'm telling it. So, in 2008, when I covered the National Republican Convention, it was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So, off to Minnesota I go for a week to cover the convention. And I knew I was going to be there for, I forget what it was, 8 days or something like that. And so I covered the convention, stem to stern, and we'd get on a little bus every day and ride over to the Minneapolis Convention Center, and, we'd interview senators and whomever, and, it was great. And at the end of it, I called my boss, and I said, I have a favor to ask. Can I have an extra day so that I can stay here in Minneapolis and see the place? And he says, well, yeah, what do you want to see? He says, you want to go to the big mall? No. Actually, I'd already been there. Funny, I was able to track down some of our California Congress members at the mall, which I always thought was very funny. No, I said, I want to go to St. Olaf. And he said, what the hell's St. Olaf? And I said, don't you watch the Golden Girls? Betty White's hometown. And he said, there's actually a St. Olaf. And I said, well, there's a St. Olaf University. He goes, that is just weird enough. All right, fine, you can go. So off I go to St. Olaf University, which is beautiful. And I went to the bookstore, I took some pictures, and I got myself some shorts that on the butt say St. Olaf. There's my big Betty White tribute. And I still have those stupid shorts to this day. I have to find them. I have no idea where they are, but they're still around. Anyway, Betty, that was my tribute to you. You didn't know how much I loved you. You didn't know what a great person I thought you were, but I think you're pretty amazing. So if anybody today has an extra $5 on them, any animal charity, it doesn't even have to be one that I support, and if you're thinking, I don't know which one to support, then I would definitely tell you, I love Pasadena Humane, you know that. That's if someday I could work somewhere else, it would be Pasadena Humane Society. So PasadenaHumane.org is where you can go. And I also am a big supporter of Best Friends Animal Society. We try and have them on as often as we can. So if you're able to donate to either of those two today, I know that they are awesome organizations, and I know that your money will be well spent and well used. So again, Betty, to you, hats off on what would have been your 100th birthday. Well, Prince Harry is taking legal action. He's challenging the government in the UK and a decision that keeps him from personally paying for police protection for himself and his family when they are in the UK. Harry's legal team said they had initiated this challenge in September of last year, but decided to make the information public now because they wanted to set the facts straight. Because, oh weird, there was a leak in a British tabloid? That never happened. Prince Harry wants to bring his son and daughter to visit from the U.S., but he and his family say they're unable to return home because they say it is too dangerous. In particular, Harry's privately funded U.S. security team, he says, cannot replicate the necessary police protection that is needed while they are in the UK. Now, a legal representative said the Duke remains willing to cover the cost of security as to not impose on the British taxpayer. But at this point, I guess nothing has changed. And I do think it's a little bit weird that the Queen can't step in and offer, her own security of some sort. I would assume that when anybody the Queen wants to have visit comes over, they have their own security detail that would take that over, and I assume that it would be paid for by the monarchy. But it's a little bit weird. I feel like it's a little strange that, Harry basically divorces the monarchy, and the monarchy basically divorced him. Is kind of what it sounds like. So, anyway, we'll see what happens on that front. When we come back, boy, do I have some biz bites for you this morning. If you thought that flying and delays from flying because of COVID were bad, I'm going to add another layer on that for you, and it's just making delays even worse. Also, I'll tell you why you might notice a couple of your favorite coffee and Mexican chains cutting their hours. And on a day that we are honoring Martin Luther King Jr., Betty White, I've got one more national treasure for you who is being honored with ice cream. That's all coming up. Right now, let's look at your drive on the 91.
As you're making your way through the Corona areas, a little bit of slowing for you westbound side as you come away from, just past Green River, continuing toward the 241 toll road, and then that's about it. Really nothing to write home about. You are still seeing problems in the, getting out of Linwood into Paramount on the eastbound side of the 105. Allegedly, it's the carpool and left lane that are still shut down, although the delays have really lightened up. So it's going to be busy for you 105 eastbound, 710 as you make your way toward Paramount Boulevard, but nothing too crazy for you there. Although, updating the map, strangely enough, it does look like you will see delays from before Long Beach Boulevard now on the eastbound side of the 105, so I guess those lanes are still taken away. KFI in the Sky helps get you there faster. I'm Nick Poliokini.
As life returns to normal, our worries have not disappeared, but evolved. CalHope offers free COVID-19 emotional support. Call 1-833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.